Mr Speaker, it's been over a year since the damning 60 Minutes footage was first aired in April 2018, and we learnt that over 2,400 sheep had died, with many more suffering severe distress in terrible conditions. The images showed but a snapshot of the horror that the sheep endured on their voyage on the Awasi Express. And to this day, I still receive countless emails from members of my community, including those on the land, who are deeply concerned about this trade. And sadly, it's now been over a year since the member for Farrer, now Minister for Environment, introduced her private members bill in May 2018. I must say, as a person sitting around in her office, it felt to me like a glimmer of hope, although that glimmer of hope certainly did fade when the bill did not progress any further. And when the member brought it in, I think many of us in this chamber had great hope. But for one minor amendment, the bill I am introducing today mirrors the member for Farrer's original proposal. Namely, this bill introduces provisions which will restrict long-haul export of live sheep and lambs during the northern summer months of June, July, August and September, during a 5-year transitional period, or at any time after that period where the voyage meets the following 3 criteria. Firstly, that the voyage is by ship. Secondly, the voyage exceeds 10 days in duration. And third, where a place in the voyage, regardless of the final destination, is either the Persian Gulf or the Red Sea. The only difference between the bill introduced by the member for Farrer in the previous parliament and the one introduced in the House today is an expansion of the restriction during the northern summer months from 3 to 4 months, such that the period is now prohibited is June to September, where previously it was July to September. The expansion brings the bill into alignment with the government's own temporary ban on long-haul live sheep exports during June, July and August, and those foreshadowed in the regulatory options paper released by the department earlier this month. The ban was introduced by the department earlier this year following the damning findings of both the government-initiated McCarthy review and its own independent technical committee appointed to review the heat stress modelling. The McCarthy review found major failures within the industry's heat stress risk assessment model and recommended a change away from pure mortality rates to one based on animal welfare indicators, a novel idea for an industry that, in the words of the member for Farrer, used an operating model built on animal suffering. But rather than adopt a measured and sensible phasing out of this industry, then and there the government instead pursues another review and appoints a technical committee to determine the appropriate level of suffering that sheep may endure during long-haul live export voyages. The department's technical committee released their draft report in December 2018, and it made for sobering reading. In short, all vessels entering the Persian Gulf or Red Sea from May to October may exceed the heat stress thresholds of almost all classes of sheep. Building on the findings from the draft report, the technical committee released a regulatory options paper to determine the best way forward, including a proposed prohibition on trading in the month of September. While the paper proposed 3 options in response to the draft heat stress review report that was released in December 2018, but the first option, being an extension of the ban on live-haul sheep exports into the month of September, is the only option that is consistent with its own scientific data and expert advice. The bill I have before the House is consistent with option 1 of the regulatory options paper and would see a prohibition on exports during the northern summer months of June, July, August and September. Most importantly, it would see welfare of animals placed above the profits of exporters. However, I accept that my bill is not for everyone, and the bill I introduce today, like the bills previously introduced by the member for Farrer, is a compromise bill. It cannot be the perfect bill for everyone who has a view on this issue, but it is a good bill and provides a working compromise. Some may say that 5 years does not provide primary producers enough time to adapt to changing regulatory environment, but this bill should not be viewed in this way. It is an opportunity for an industry that is already in terminal decline, and I think it's important to make that statement. and to assist it to transition away from long-haul live sheep exports and create an Australian code abattoirs and local jobs in much-needed production jobs. And I know in my community we desperately want more local abattoirs, and I am working very closely with industry in my community, with local government, to see what the potential could be. And no doubt there are electorates in Western Australia who are calling for the same support. These are well-paid, good local jobs, and we want those local jobs in our regional communities. The government must now act to ensure the welfare of Australian livestock and to protect Australia's reputation, which is critical as a nation, and that we are supporting responsible and humane agricultural practices. It is my hope that one day, as the emails that are shared by thousands of constituents to me who write and call me, that the member for Farrer's original bill, original idea, that she showed great courage initially in presenting to this House, that it finally passes this chamber and ends this long-running saga, and we have a better future for live sheep. Thank you.